right. Welcome, everyone. This is the regular City Council meeting for Minnetrista, December 2nd, 2024. Welcome, all of you. This evening, we have a lot of special people here this evening, and I'll introduce them in just a little bit. And we also have a special event, recognizing outgoing Councilmember Ann McGregor. That's why we have so many people here. But then we also have some things on the agenda that I'm sure the other people are here for. With that, would you please first join me in Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So with that, I'm going to start out with some introductions. I'm Lisa Whalen, I'm the mayor, and to my left are council members Kathleen Refkin, Ann McGregor, Peter Vickery, and Claudia Lacey. And then on the end, we have our Director of Public Works, Gary Peters, and then Allie Paulfus is our soon-to-be assistant administrator. She's in the back. She's going to be, for the foreseeable future, taking some pictures this evening. And then to my right, we have our city administrator, Jasper Krugel. Brian Grimm is our finance director. David Abel is our community development director. And then we have on the end our chief of police to keep us in order, Paul Falls. So I believe we have two people, staff that are also participating via our internet. So with that, next on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Are there any changes or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion then to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. McGregor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Lacey. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. With that, so our first agenda item is recognizing three young men. We're recognizing Joey and Lincoln and Edison. And these are sixth graders from Grandview. And what they did is they participated in an essay contest. The essay contest was, what would you do if you were mayor for the day? And so they each, and this was open to fourth, fifth, and sixth graders at Grandview. The principal, and along with some of the teachers, gathered up all the essays, reviewed them, and picked the top three students that live in Minnetrista and the top three that live in Mound. Obviously, we're here recognizing the top three Minnetrista essay winners. So I want to say, first of all, your essays were really good. I really liked them, especially because I also like parks. But also, I just want to give you some recognition for going the extra mile and doing the extra work and wanting to participate in this. So first, I'm going to ask Lincoln. He said he would read his essay, and so he's going to read his essay. He's going to come up to this microphone here. And then after that, the other two young students said they don't want to read it, but I will read theirs for them. So with that, go ahead.
My name is Lincoln Letness, and I'm a sixth grader at Grandview Middle School. This is my Mayor of the Day essay. Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to be mayor for the day? Read this and you'd learn what I'd do. A mayor's job is to take in local taxes and decide how to spend money in the town. They make sure they spend money on good projects that affect the community positively. Their day-to-day life is managing the town's administration and operations. If I were mayor, I would first put sidewalks on the roads. I'd do this because there aren't a lot of sidewalks I see when my mom brings me to school. So, sorry.
It's okay.
So, if there were sidewalks, I could probably ride my bike. People would also be able to walk or run on the sidewalks instead of just going on the side of the road too. Another thing I would do is add more dog parks, because dogs need to let out a lot of energy, and dog parks are good for that. Because some of my neighbors don't have very big yards, so a dog park would be good. The last thing I'd do is add crossing guards to the roads. because I feel like this would like organize the roads when people cross to make it a little more safer. I haven't seen like a lot of crossing guards but around, so it might help a little. But in conclusion, I think I would make a good mayor. I would help start some good projects to improve the community. They're not necessary, but that doesn't mean they're not important. I can't wait to get started.
Thank you very much.
So, Joey, why don't I read yours first? And you can join me. You don't have to read it. I'll read it. So Joy writes, have you ever wondered what it would be like to be mayor for a day? Being a mayor comes with big responsibilities, like demonstrating strong leadership, representing the community, and providing essential services. If I were mayor, the first thing I would do is make parks more inclusive for everyone. One positive outcome would be that all types of people would feel welcome and happy by making parks more accessible and appealing to all demographics. More people would be encouraged to walk, jog, cycle, or participate in outdoor sports. This would promote physical fitness and help combat lifestyle-related diseases like obesity. I believe this would be incredibly beneficial for the people of Minnetrista, as it would contribute to a healthier and more active community. Another thing I would focus on as mayor is improving park safety. Inclusive, well-lit, and actively used parks are safer because people are more likely to visit it if they feel secure. One benefit of this would be the natural surveillance that occurs when parks are regularly used. This means more people present in the parks, creating a wonderful environment. Additionally, parents would feel more comfortable letting their children play outside. Overall, this would make Minnetrista a better and safer place to live. These are just a few of the reasons why I think I would make an excellent mayor. As you can see from my ideas, I am thoughtful and passionate about making a difference. With my kindness, innovative ideas, and commitment to action, I would be a fantastic mayor for a day or longer, working to make Minnetrista even better. I think these gentlemen should run for mayor. They do have to be 18, but not that far away. So this is Edison, and he wrote, and he's also a sixth grader, and he wrote, no, you don't. Okay. There are some problems in our city. A mayor's job is to keep our community safe and running well. A mayor should be doing all that he or she can to help and support community. A mayor's day-to-day life should be busy, but not too packed. If they are trying to juggle too much at once, they can't do everything right. If I were mayor for a day, I would do all that I can to help protect the lakes. If we could protect the lakes, we would have more fish for fishing, which would attract more tourists and improve our economy. Lakes give us water, which we need to live. If the water we get from the lakes is super dirty, we have to spend tons of money treating it so that it's drinkable, which we could spend trying to improve other things like our parks. If the water that we got from the lakes was really already clean, we wouldn't have to spend as much money treating it. If I were mayor for a day, I would also help improve our parks. If our parks were better, people would be happier. They would be able to go for a nice walk in a well-maintained, clean park with a smooth, wide trail. If our parks were better, we would have more wildlife and trees. If we had more wildlife, people would be happier, seeing cute birds and squirrels everywhere they look. If people saw that many cute animals, the happiness of our city would improve, leading to lower crime rates. If we had more trees, we could have cleaner air, helping reverse climate change in our area. The final thing I would do if I were mayor for the day
is increase penalties for littering. If the penalties for littering were higher, people would stop littering. And if people stopped littering, there would be less trash around. Littering is a big problem. We will just be going for a walk and see a bunch of trash on the ground. Nobody likes to see trash all over, and nobody likes to be a litter bug. In summary, I think I would make a great mayor for the day because I would do everything in my power to fix problems. One problem that I would try to fix is the happiness of our community. I would also try to fix pollution in places like our lakes and parks. I would also try to improve the size and maintenance of our parks. Very good. Have a little certificate for you. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
That's him.
We're going to get a picture of it here. Perfect. Thank you. Again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are cute. Those are super cute.
Do you want to do any introduction? Okay. All right. So our next item on our agenda is a special recognition of an outgoing council member, Ann McGregor. Ann served on the city council for 4 years, and she decided not to run again. Sorry. And so we always do a little special recognition for outgoing council members. We also do it for incoming council members, and I did remind Ann that she had to be here because when she was elected took office in 2021, it was COVID. And so both Kathleen and Ann never got the pleasure of having an incoming greeting with cake and coffee. And so hopefully this will sort of make up for it. But,
And they tried to do it 2 years into it, and we had that huge snowstorm. And they had to cancel it, and the staff ate my cake.
But so I have a resolution here, and before I read it, it's kind of lengthy, but it's well deserving. And I just want to say I was a little bit hesitant, a little bit leery after the election in 2020 as to how we would get along with Ann and Kathleen. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to move forward with this in a very positive manner. And you know, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
It has been an absolute pleasure. Ann has come very well prepared. She asks good questions, even though she thinks they're not good, but they always are good. And she has been polite and respectful, and it has been a joy and fun working together. And I really appreciate that. Ann came too with kind of some of the same things I wanted to try and get accomplished, but with her help, we were able to get over 500 homes in our northwest quadrant of Minnetrista that at the time had no or very poor internet service. And again, with Ann's help, this was, I think, one of the not only, but one of the bigger accomplishments that we were able to get those homes served with high-speed internet. And now that same company has come back, much to our happiness, and we don't even have to pay anything this time. That was Ann's question. Well, what's the glitch? How much do we owe? So they're coming back, and they're doing all of Minnetrista within the next 2 to 3 years, and we're very, very excited about that. And I want to thank Ann for that help on that project. So real quick, I'm going to read this. This is a resolution recognizing outgoing City Council member Ann McGregor. Whereas Ann McGregor was elected in November of 2020 as City Council member, she has served one full 4-year term as an elected City Council member from January 2021 through December of 2024. And Councilmember McGregor held office during a time when the City of Minnetrista was in a growth curve, a time of increased staffing needs, and with all the issues normally associated with a growing municipality. And Councilmember McGregor has been impactful in the effort to build out quality broadband internet services for all residents. In 2020, she was supportive of the DEED border-to-border broadband grant obtained by the City and Mediacom to build out high-speed internet services to almost 80 homes. And then in 2022, she was integral to the partnership between the City of Minnetrista, Hennepin County, and Mid-Continental Communications to build out fiber to the home internet to over 500 unserved residents in the northwest part of Minnetrista. Mostly recently, Ann has shown enthusiasm and support for the new franchise agreement with Mid-Continent Communications to build out services to all current and future Minnetrista residents. And Councilmember McGregor has been a valued member of the Personnel Committee, providing a fresh perspective and playing an important role in employment matters such as hiring new staff, ensuring Minnetrista provides competitive compensation and benefits, focusing on recruitment and retention. And Councilmember McGregor has served as the city's representative for the West Tonka Community and Commerce, the Gillespie Center Advisory Council, and a liaison to the Parks and Planning Commissions. And Councilmember McGregor has been a strong supporter of public safety, participating in the approval of the Public Safety Department fitness facility, and has been involved in discussions on recruitment and retention of police officers in today's tough job market. And Ms. McGregor's priorities have been to provide reliable internet services to all residents, remaining a fiscal steward of the community, taxpayers and of the community's taxpayers, and preserve the rural character of the community while maintaining controlled and balanced growth. And now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Minnetrista that we thank Ann McGregor for her service to the residents of Minnetrista. Her presence and valuable perspective on the City Council will be missed. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Refkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. And this is yours.
My signed copy?
Your signed copy. You know, I'm going to say one more thing. Recently at the Trista Days, I was sitting out there and Ann and I were talking and she said, boy, we've really gotten a lot accomplished. Do you remember that? And I said, we have. And the reason we've gotten a lot accomplished, one, of course, Ann participated greatly in those accomplishments, but also because of our work with our staff and all of the council together. We've really been able to accomplish a lot, and thank you, Ann, for that. It's greatly appreciated. So.
Welcome, and thank you to everybody for all the help you've given me. I had to do a lot of learning from the very beginning. I knew nothing about local government, but I definitely appreciated all the help that I received.
Thank you. All right. So now we move on to the fun part, and that's a budget presentation. And anybody that would like to, Brian is going to do an overview, and then if there's anybody that wishes to make some comments regarding the budget, you are welcome to. So,
I think this
Brian.
is probably rather appropriate. This is Councilmember McGregor's last meeting. She's always been a big finance person. I know one of the first years she was on the council, I think we sat down and she might have been the only person other than me that read all the 120 pages of our audit and asked a bunch of fine-tuned questions or whatever. So I did, appreciate that. And in honor of that, I was going to do like a 40-slide PowerPoint.
Oh, were you? That's.
But I'm not. No. I saw everyone in the audience. So, oh my gosh, right? No. So no, it's going to be a quick, less than 10. So as far as this is just our required final levy and budget discussion, public comment required by the statutorily by the state of Minnesota. I'm going to hit some of the highlights here. We're looking at, this is our last council meeting of the year, so we need to take action on our final tax levy and approve that by resolution by the end of the month here. So we're looking at doing that tonight. As far as our timeline. So we had met starting back on, seems a long time ago now, but August 5th, we had some initial discussions on the tax levy and budget. And then on September 4th, we did certify a preliminary tax levy increase of about 9.4%. Since then, we've gone through the final process of looking at our water, sewer, our utility funds, as well as some of the park dedication funds, some of the things that we've heard about tonight, even with the mayor of the day, some of how we go through and divvy up and how to spend those funds. And staff is recommending certifying that final gross tax levy of $7,130,000 there for 2025 collection. And that'll be done later in the meeting under the business items, and then also approving the final budget documents, which were the 50 or so pages in the packet, along with some summary information. So as far as the, here's just the different components of the levy. You can see most of the dollars go to the general fund. There's some debt levies associated with some of the road projects and stuff that, as some of our facilities that are part of the levy, as well as some road maintenance dollars and some capital equipment. You can see there's that $7,130,000 number there as a total. And then we do get some fiscal disparities dollars back from the county, which brings our total net levy to just under 7 million there. It's just a trend of like the last 5 years, the last 3 years of actual, and then the last couple budgets. The blue line's revenues, the red is the expenditures. You can see the expenditures have been pretty linear. I guess the revenues, there's been some different things, especially 2023, we had some of the commercial permits come in, so you can see some of the revenues higher there. 2022, I think, was a catch up of spending down some dollars from some of the CARES and ARPA over the, from earlier 2020, 21. So that's where you can see a little more of a fluctuation in the revenues, but you can see we pretty much have those pretty even for 2024 and 25 there. Here's just another way to look at it as far as the tax levy on the top line. We've used some years we've had some surpluses, and then we've sort of put those back into our budget. So you can see that sort of trend there on the second row there. And then we always try to target to keep our general fund money we have on hand at above, per our city policy, 40%. So you can see we're just above that for 24 and 25 projected. Here, everyone wants to know the general average tax impact to their home. So based on our levy increase, most homeowners saw on average a flat or slight increase to their home in this last year. There's been some growth in the city as well, a couple percent a year usually. So when you factor all that in, you can see some of the different property values of 450, 650, and 850. Most people are looking at, if they had that average increase, anywhere from a $50 to $120. That's on an annual basis, so a monthly basis, that's, 4 to 10 or whatever dollar increase. As far as just some of the last items here, what we're spending money on in the 2025 budget, obviously there's some labor contracts we have in place for both, our labor unions as well as some non-union salary and benefits. We do have to fund our capital equipment plan for items for squads and public works equipment and all those type of things. And then we've made more of a concerted effort for the pavement management to do more mill and overlay in different projects over the years there. We are using a slight amount of our fund balance, a little about $39,000, to keep our levy at the proposed amount. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at it to be in that 41 to 43% range as far as what our fund balance percentage is versus our projected budget expenditures. This is the last slide here, just to summarize. So we're just looking for that action on the final tax levy and budget documents later in the meeting. I think we've had really good discussions at the council meetings here as far as the overall budget. The final levy as presented, we'd be looking to adopt to fund some of those things like, roads, equipment, and our operations. So if anyone has any questions, but that's in a nutshell.
I don't think the council does. I know we've, discussed this, unless you have some.
No.
Okay.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Hated every number. It's all okay.
So we don't have any questions. As Brian said, we've been looking at these numbers and working with staff over the past, 3 to 4 months. But this is a public hearing, public time. If anybody is here tonight regarding, has some questions regarding the budget, wish to make some comments regarding the budget, you are welcome to come forward. Is there, if by a raise of hands, is there anybody here that's interested in talking or have questions regarding the budget? Okay, so all of you are here for another reason. All right. Good to know. With that, then I guess we can close our public hearing, and we'll move on to our next agenda item. So I know some of you here have signed up under persons to be heard. What I'm going to do, though, since you're all here, probably for the IUP agenda item, I'm going to put that, or you guys, anybody can talk regarding that when we get to that item. Is there anybody here for a different item that signed up? Okay, so all of you will be able to.
Oh, we got one.
Okay.
I'd like to speak on item G on the consent agenda.
The preliminary plat.
Why don't you quickly come forward? Do you have a question? It's probably going to be approved. Do you not want it approved?
Hi, my name's Sven Gustafson. I'm representing the owner of the property. Sorry. Sven Gustafson, Stonewood LLC,
Okay.
153 Lake Street East. I just wanted to speak on the park dedication fees. This is a reapproval of an item that was approved almost exactly a year ago. And for reasons unrelated to anything we've done, the county had some issues with the underlying plat and wasn't able to proceed with the subdivision. And so we've been stalled out with a piece of property that's kind of been stuck in limbo for the last year and had to reapply because our subdivision approval expired. And so we're here to ask for that to be done again. It sounds like that's on track. However, the park dedication fee has since gone up by about $12,000 since the original approval. And so I'm requesting that the council consider holding to the original park dedication fee for the original approval because it's a lot of money and we've been stuck for the last year.
And these are very expensive lots.
They may well be, but we've been sitting on them for a year because of a 6-inch discrepancy in the underlying plat that the county had misrecorded maybe 40 or 50 years ago.
Staff, any comments?
No, I think he covered it well, Madam Mayor, members of council. That's exactly what happened. In the meantime, the fees changed at the direction of not only the Parks Commission, but the City Council as well. And I believe this was one of recent examples which caused you guys to raise those fees. So again, it's up to the council to make that decision.
Has this happened in the past where there's a plat hanging out there while we change fees?
No, and that's, as per the discussion of why the fees were raised, it hadn't been raised in 24 years.
Yeah. So there's maximum. So the maximum used to be 25,000. So depending on how many lots you're subdividing, then there's a certain percentage that you have to pay into the park dedication fee. If you're only, so in this case, the percentage, if you had taken the value of the property and done the percentage, would have exceeded the maximum of 25,000. That was last year. Then we made the change because that number hadn't changed in like 24 years. So the Park Commission said, hey, we really need to look at our fees a little more frequently because of pricing, prices going up for parks and prices going up for land values. So then it was increased to 37,000. So it went up from 25 to 37. And that's the maximum that a simple subdivision would have to pay.
So should this person be grandfathered in to the previous?
That's a council decision.
Well, okay, I vote for that.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I am
The
too.
only one hanging out there, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Do they typically go over a year?
No, it automatically kind of disappears, so to speak. And because of the issues that they had, he's basically coming back. That's why it's on consent, because it's basically just an extension of it. So we had already approved the subdivision last year. And then they have 1 year in which to get all their ducks in a row and get everything filed and so on. So
Technically, Madam Mayor, we have started over because they did not ask for an extension. So
okay, it's basically,
we had
yeah,
to start the entire process all over again.
sort of like that,
Yep.
yeah. They could have asked for an extension, though.
They
Yeah.
could have, yep.
Probably should have come forward and asked for an extension, but, so here we are. So they could have asked for an extension. We probably would have given them the extension. So I think 25,000 per lot is probably what we're going to go with then.
If I may, I'll put it on the agenda for January so we can officially take action.
Will that hold them up at all?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So just so it's documented and the reason
Okay.
why, we'll do that.
Because the resolution states 37,000, so we'll have to change that resolution.
We're still waiting on the county. Oh, we're close.
Okay.
We're told.
So if you need another extension.
File the extension.
File the extension.
God help us if we need another extension.
All right. So we're going to pull that agenda item. I think you said it was G. Yeah.
G.
So we'll pull that off. All right. Council, are there any other?
Persons to be heard?
No, we're going to do.
No, is there?
Oh, is there anybody else on persons to be heard that would like to speak on another agenda item other than the IUP? All right. Hearing none then. Consent agenda is lengthy, so bear with me. A is approve our work session meeting minutes from November 18th. Oh, did you want to remove
We're
one?
going to pull V just to discuss at the end
Okay, remind
of
me.
business items.
All right. So we're going to pull V. So it's going to be A through whatever, F, less V, and less G. So approve our work session meeting minutes from November 18th, 2024. Approve our city council regular meeting minutes from November 18th, 24. C is a resolution to approve claims. D is a resolution accepting donations. Thank you, everybody, very much for those donations. And E is a resolution approving our 2024 budgeted transfers. F is a resolution approving the lakeshore setback variance at 4776 Crane Island. H is a resolution accepting improvements and authorize final payment with change order number 1 for Woodland Cove water main improvements. I is a resolution approving amendment to prosecuting attorney JPA and court services agreement. J is our pay plan. K is a city council meeting calendar. I is promotions effective January 1, 2025. M, ML, KL, M, sorry, approved promotions, and then M is approved city administrator performance review summary. N is approve our updates to city administrator employment agreement. O is approve license agreement with Mid-Continent. P is approve conditional offer of employment for Mason Storms Public Works maintenance worker. Glad to have another person on board. Hopefully that'll work out. And approve a memorandum of understanding for earned sick and safe time for LELS 116, LELS 343, LELS 473 unions. R is approve a memorandum of understanding for earned sick, safe time, and paid time off with IOUE Local 49 union. S is approve employee recognition policy. T is approve equipment CIP purchase of the 2024 Caterpillar 305 mini excavator. U is approve purchase and installation of new fuel management system. And W is approve conditional offer of employment for Aaron Geddes, I believe, police officer, and we really hope that works out. We have been trying to hire our 15th officer for years, 2 or 3 years, and so we're really hoping this works out and that Aaron will be able to join our department very soon. Is there a motion to approve all those? And I'm not going to repeat them all. Consent agenda items.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Lacy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McGregor. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. And then we have number V. I think it's, go ahead.
I just had a question. When we reject it, what happens if the school does not reject their portion of it? And then the new bidding process, how that's going to work out?
Yes, do we want to go over this right now?
Now or
Okay.
during business, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, so the school let their bids for their project. The parent low base bidder, the alternates that affect our water main project weren't the lowest alternate. projects. So both Thaler and the city are recommending rejection. The school is evaluating that yet this week. We'll hear back from the school by the end of the week. If they reject or if they accept their bid, we will have a separate project that'll just be the Thaler and the city portion of the water main. And then the school will go along with a parent low base bidder. So a little bit more coordination. Gary and I have talked to the superintendent there and have said, it probably would make sense to reject the school bid, have it be all one project, and then coordinate it that way. They're still, I think, going through the bids. They're quite complex. So we will see what they'll happen. But either way, we should reject ours because our portion was significantly over the engineer's estimate.
All right, thank you. So with that, is there then a motion to approve, which is approve but rejecting the West Tonka Schools City of Minnetrista Water Main Project update?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. McGregor made that motion and Ms. Refkin seconded that. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So next we're moving on to a public hearing. This is our 2025 fee schedule, and we will be adopting this ordinance. It's number 495, adopting the 2025 fee schedule. I'll give this to Brian again, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. And this also is an item that we've been talking about for the past several months in conjunction with the budget process. So the reason it has to be in public hearing is there's a few of the fees in there that technically need a public hearing per our city attorney. So obviously some of the main highlights, it's just on page 222 of the packet, and then the subsequent about 10 pages. And everything that's being changed had the red highlight and the strike through and then the new amount. But yeah, the main changes were with the water rates due to, obviously some of our upcoming water projects driving that. The sewer rate, some of the Met Council fees increasing. So we've got that we discussed about during our work sessions, as well as the recycling fee with our waste management contract. Otherwise, there's some more changes for the land use fees with the engineer and the attorney that are pretty inflationary. And like I say, maybe I'll stand for any questions from the council, and we'll need to open it up for the public hearing,
Right.
and then adopt a couple items after that once everything's been discussed.
Council questions, comments? Okay, so this is also a public hearing for this. Is there anybody here this evening that has questions or wishes to comment on our 2025 proposed fee schedule? Don't be shy. Okay. All right, going once, going twice. All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing for the fee schedule and take it back to council. We didn't have questions. We've gone over some of this before. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 494, adopting the 2025 fee schedule? And then we also need to approve the publication of ordinance number 494 by title and summary. I do need a 4/5 vote on that one. Any questions, comments? Are we all in agreement on this? Because if so, we can do this in one motion then. Adopting ordinance number 494 and approving the publication of ordinance number 494 by title and summary.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. McGregor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. So next, our business item. All right, I bet most of you are here for that. So this is how this is going to work. I'm going to give staff, they're going to do a quick overview of the application and of the agenda item. And then we're going to I'll open it up to the public. If you're here, you would like to make some comments, I'm going to ask a couple things. You have to come to the podium. Please state your name and full address clearly. We need that for the record. And I'm going to give you just a few minutes. We have a lot of people here. So please be succinct. Please try not to be repetitive if possible. We want to make sure that nobody falls asleep, including us up here. Just kidding. But I also want to make a note and let you all know that we have received all of your letters and your emails. They've been in our packet. We also had a stack. They've been sent to us. We've read them. I can assure you that we have read all of them. And we are taking everything that everybody has said into consideration. So having said that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Abel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. So this is an interim use permit application to operate a boat repair and outdoor commercial boat storage business. There's 2 properties on Sunnyfield Road North that are listed in your packet there. Council is obviously well aware of the history and how we got to this point, so I won't get in too much detail, but broad overview, the properties were sold and purchased back in September of 2023. Shortly thereafter, they began operating the business on the site. The previous property owners lived on site and operated a garbage hauling business on there since, as best as people can tell me, the early to mid 70s. So shortly after the property was purchased and they were using this new business on the property, the city did receive a formal code enforcement complaint regarding the change of use of the property. And so as per city policy, we follow up with code enforcement complaints, verified the change in use, and then made notification that they had 2 options given the operation that was being used on site, one being to cease use of that operation because it did not conform with city code, the other option being apply for an interim use permit. And hence that's where we are here this evening. They have applied for an interim use permit to operate that business. Currently there's roughly around 70 miscellaneous boats, jet skis, trailers, and other vehicles on the site being stored there. And what the applicant is asking for is an interim use permit to be able to operate that business on site and store boats there as such. So the council does, for an interim use permit, we do allow those in the agriculturally zoned properties, which this property is zoned that, but that is if it's deemed appropriate by city council. So this is not a specific use that is called out in city code that is allowed in an agricultural property. So it's up to you as council to deem whether it is appropriate or not for this specific use on this specific 2 pieces of property. As pointed out in the packet, there's a number of things that the council needs to look at when deeming it appropriate. Just a few high-level general things to think about: visual and aesthetic impact it has on the neighborhood, looking at conditions for health and safety, environmental impacts, those sorts of things, public infrastructure, and also as part of that would be the public cost, if any, given this operation and what that might look like in the future. The Planning Commission did review this application and held a public hearing at their October meeting. They took public comment. Much of the written comment, of course, from that meeting, all of that is included in your packet as well. They did vote with a 4-3 vote to recommend approval of the IUP at that time. There was, however, an email from a planning commissioner that went to the mayor and city council that originally voted in favor of the request, but as you saw from her email, she has changed her position on it and explains why in her email. That email was also included as part of your packet as well, so that's part of the record with that email. Staff has prepared a resolution for your viewing this evening. The resolution would be a recommendation of denial of the IUP given the public comment. Some of the concerns that were brought up at the public hearing. There are 5 findings that are listed with great detail in the resolution and also in the staff report. Again, high level look at the headlines there. Biggest being inconsistent with our comprehensive plan, looking at the zoning of the property and the neighborhood character. As I mentioned, there's some environmental concerns as pointed out in your packet. There's some significant wetlands in the area that cause for concern. A couple of the other ones, visual impact on the neighborhood, and then traffic and the infrastructure impact this would have. As we all know, Sunnyfield Road is a gravel road. There's obviously increased traffic, size of boats, and those sorts of things that have been brought up as concerns throughout this process. So with that, we do have a resolution as an option for you this evening and can stand for any questions.
Thank you. I think I'm going to hold questions from the council until after we hear from our residents. and then we're going to close it to the public for comments and take it back to the council. I have one more thing to say. We did get a request, as you know, we entertained, or we listened to the public at our November 18th meeting, and at the request of the applicant, we moved it to the December 2nd meeting. And the applicant was here at that meeting and didn't say anything yay or for or against that. The next morning, they sent an email requesting it to be moved to the end of January. I'm not inclined to do that, but it is a council decision. If the council wishes to move this again, delay it again, that would be a council decision. Staff had to put it on the agenda because that was a motion by the council. It was council directive. Staff did not have any ability to remove it from the agenda. So is there any desire to move this to the end of January?
I don't think we need to move it.
Okay.
No.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. With that then, is the applicant present? Would the applicant like to start out and make any comments?
No, I will let other people go first.
Okay. So with that, we're going to start out. We'll start out on this side. Mr. Christians, you're first.
Thank you, Mayor Whalen.
You do need to come to the.
Thank you, Mayor Whalen.
And you do need
Less
to.
than fortunate because I know and I've had the opportunity to work with
You
most.
do need to state your name and address, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
For those of you that I don't know, my name is Bob Christians, 6440 Cedar Court, North Saunders. I am a resident and have been a resident of Minnetrista for 35 years. I moved here 35 years ago from Woodbury. The reason I did is because we wanted to live on the lake. Like many people, I think, here that moved to Minnetrista or the West Tonka area, they moved to this area because obviously Minnetonka Lake is one of the nicest lakes you'll find in Minnesota. Okay, now in addition to that, once upon a time sitting in your chair, I'm also have been a member of the West Tonka Community Commerce for a number of years and currently on the board of directors. As being on the board of directors, it is our responsibility and commitment to work with businesses, as the saying goes, shop locally, support the business locally. Okay, many of the people that live here in Minnetrista moved here because of being close to the lake or being able to use the lake. And most of them, a lot of them, have boats. They need to store them someplace during the winter. Not during the summer, but in the spring and in the fall. Tonka Auto Marine has done an amazing job of servicing these people here in Minnetrista and Mound, West Tonka, whatever you want to call it, okay? I would be a terrible, terrible mistake not to prove this, not only to harm them, shoot them, if you might say, but also the residents of Minnetrista who have boats that moved here because of the lake and because of things like Tonka Auto Marine, where they can store them for the summer. So I'm asking you, and I know my 3 minutes are probably being close to being up, but I'm asking you, please, please figure out how you can work with them to make something work. Okay?
Thank you,
Make
Mr.
something work. We need them here. They're so much for the community. You have no idea how much time they put into the city of working with things like Spirit of the Lakes, Incredible Festival, Food Shell, Pennywise, all these places where they've done and have donated thousands of dollars to this community to help the community and help the people here within the community. Please work something out, make it work.
Thank you, Mr. Christians. Anybody else here in that row wishes to speak? Just here to listen, okay. Well, I'm going to give everybody one chance to speak. So if you'd like to speak now, please come forward.
Yeah, my name's Pete Goring. I've also been here for 35 years. I live at 1350 Blair Road. We've got a nice little area in that neck of the woods. There are other small businesses. They seem to maybe be more in an area of 10 acres, and it's quiet. There's not huge traffic on the road, but the environment is a big concern. The low area that's behind the area. What can happen, I really don't know. But I guess I'd like to also say that maybe there's a way to work it out, but let's protect our environment.
Okay, thank you.
So are you for it or against it?
Pardon me?
Are you for it or against it?
I would say I'm against it.
Thank you.
Anybody else in this row?
Good evening. Excuse me. My name is Colin Charlson, Minnetrista resident, 5749 Sunnybrook Lane. I am barely 35 years old, so sorry, Bob. I just wanted to really quick speak on the character of the people involved. I opened a business in Mound and moved to Minnetrista in 2008. Some of the first people I met were Steve and Kelly, which at that point were operating their business in Spring Park. They've been an instrumental part of our community. Kelly and I were involved in actually starting West Tonka Community and Commerce, our local chamber of commerce at the time. And they've done nothing but try and help our community. And I understand and appreciate some of the concerns, but I also think it's perspective to think about what was and now what is. For those of you that don't know, what used to operate at this site was a rubbish company, a garbage company. And the Bakoviak family, again, amazing community supporters and friends, love them. Keep in mind, from a road use standpoint, these individuals will use this road for about a month in the fall, maybe 2, and a month, maybe 45 days in the spring as they remove boats from storage. The prior use was a garbage company, a haul-out roll-off company that was up and down that road every day with 30,000-pound truck maybe, I don't know. Perhaps Steve or Kelly could comment on what an average boat they haul weighs. So the road use issue for me is not a big one. It's a road I use often. I walk on often. I live less than a half a mile from there. And I love that area. The other thing of note, you can see where things are being stored there now because there was literally garbage containers stored in the trees if you'd ever walked that property prior. Well, they've cleaned that site up. I had walked that property prior. There was old trucks stored, old garbage trucks stored. Those have all been removed by the applicant. And so I would just ask you guys to consider the alternatives. The alternatives is that this business leaves Minnetrista and goes somewhere else. And so I just encourage you to consider that as you make your decision tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. The next row.
Good evening. Mike Entinger, 1305 Blair Road. I shouldn't be here. I looked into this in September of 23. I talked to, I think his name was Adam. He showed me the map. As long as the people live here, Mike, better go. Okay, great. Welcome them in. I go to the planning, I get a letter saying somebody's complained, and I look into it and find out, do we have 0 permits pulled? Anybody know? I think it's close to 0. Oh, I got to get my disclaimer in here. I'm retired, so I don't want to be, liable for this stuff. I also don't want to be liable for their business and what they've expanded to already. And the other things that they talk about and don't talk about, they're an auto repair shop. If you go on their website, it says Tonka Auto and Marine, and it has welcome to all of our people with their new vehicles at the new address of Sunnyfield Road. We never talked about that at any planning mission. It isn't on the IU.
IUP?
Yeah, it's not on there either. So now we're going to bring autos out there too. I can't afford, I'm retired, to lose $100,000 on my property value. How the hell, sorry, how do we make that up? Because if they expand out on that property, we've got 9 people that are here with signed letters. That's $1 million to finance them coming in and tearing out trees and tearing out aggregate, moving more dirt than Minnehaha Water Creek District allows without a permit. There's no permit there either that I can find. In closing, people that just came up here, they don't live 1,500 feet away. One of them I had on my thing at 1.7 miles. The other one I don't know about. But of the 5 letters that are here, 3 of them don't live anywhere close. One's an employee with no address. All 4 of the 5 never gave their address in this paperwork.
We're aware of that. So I want to try and be a little more succinct here. We know.
We know.
Yeah, we know.
I like to point that out that, I don't know, maybe they're good people.
Right.
But have them go in their neighborhood if they love them so much.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Anybody else over here? We'll kind of go down the road. Okay. Anybody on the back wall there? Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to you in just a second. Okay. Go ahead. Sure.
Kelly Gillespie Cohen, the applicant. At the Planning Commission, I gave you 1161 West Wayzata Boulevard. Our PO Box for Tonka Auto Marine is PO Box 40 in Mound. It might be an easier address for you guys. So I'm going to try to keep this short, but I do have a lot to go on over just because I am the applicant. So, but just super quick, so we know who I could help address any questions or concerns to in regards to staff. Which staff prepared the report? So if I have a specific question.
Which staff?
Sure, yeah, me.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know because I hadn't corresponded a lot. I think it was with Beck, not you, or was that you that I, no. Anyways, I want to provide some quick background about the business, some additional background, just so you guys know. We've been proud residents of this community, my husband and I, for 20 and 30 years respectively. We lived in Mound, we lived in Minnetrista, now we're on the border of Minnetrista. We've stayed in the West Tonka School District the entire time, and we're a short distance from Sunnyfield. And as mentioned, my husband's on site almost daily. Back in 2009, we started this business during the recession. We started it from the ground up with virtually no money, wondering sometimes where our meals were going to come from. We didn't take a vacation in 4 years. Maybe a day off was a holiday. It was 6-7 days a week, 80 or 90 hours a week. So this thing is very near and dear to us. Back in 2005, I acquired Island Park Skelly. That is our sole auto repair shop. People want to disagree on marketing, that's totally fine. But anybody's welcome to come out and see that that repair shop is not fit or does not have the equipment for any automobiles, nor is there any intention of doing it. No desire for that. That's over in Mound. And then in the beginning of 21 or 22, we made a strategic decision to downsize the marine side of our business, focusing on not only reducing the size of the boats, but narrowing our scope on our customer base. And as part of this transition, we sold our semi-truck, our large hydraulic trailer, and now the average boat is in the mid-20s that we service. Before we did a lot of probably mid-30s and up, and I just don't want to do that anymore. As we're all well aware, in the agricultural zone in Minnetrista, there's many businesses, including concrete companies, asphalt companies, outdoor storage, boat storage, landscaping companies, dock companies, construction companies, all of this sort of thing. Directly to the east of us is a sizable dock company, and just a few hundred feet to the north of us is another established commercial business on Sunnyfield Road. So I would say any assertion that this use is entirely out of place is factually incorrect and does not reflect the character or the existing uses within the surrounding area. In fact, in 2013, not very far from here, I purchased a property in Minnetrista over 6.5 acres that was utilized for outdoor storage with minimal screening. We continued that use during our ownership. Upon selling it, the property just a few years ago, the current owner now, likewise has maintained that for outdoor storage. The adjacent property is a landscaping company, and right down the road is an asphalt concrete company. Additionally, a member of the council resides on that same road where the businesses are located, all which fall within that agricultural zone. So it kind of demonstrates a precedence of business operations within this zoning classification, which we feel contributes to the economic and practical use of these properties. As stated in the PC meeting, the two Sunnyfield properties have been continuously used for commercial outdoor storage and mechanical repair for approximately 60 years. In fact, I actually just learned they started the business probably in the 1940s when talking with the previous owner just recently. So this is an existing lot of record with continued commercial use that did not cease to exist at any time. Now, it's our understanding that after a request for consideration of any applicant, that the city council would engage in discussion to direct staff according to the council's decision. However, it appears that the city staff has taken it upon themselves to already determine the outcome according to the agenda. We have noted this bias and presumptuous manner that the report was written, and I'm going to provide you with factual information to the contrary of the unsubstantiated opinions. After the Planning Commission had a healthy conversation with a lot of great questions asked, information shared, they did recommend approval of the IUP with conditions. The two most discussed ones were screening and limiting the number of units, which we take absolutely zero issue with. The intent for us has always been to clean up the property first, get the dead disease trees, all the junk and everything out of there, all of the overgrowth, and then to improve on what was there. But we have to clean it first before we can do that because, frankly, it was garbage. Too much of it. Traffic and noise, something that I don't know how many people are truly aware of, is that when the city put the road in on Sunnyfield, it was actually constructed in an incorrect location. So we own 25 feet on the east side of that road. So on the opposite side of that road. So given that we hold ownership of a portion of that land on the east side of the road, we have the ability to clear a section across from the shop that would give us the capability to address any necessary adjustments or maintain accessibility or usability for that portion. We have not done it. We would prefer to get council's feedback on that before we would do any of those things. Then in comparison to the previous company operating, our use of the road is significantly reduced, as is the noise generated by the vehicles. We have a single 1-ton dually diesel. That's the only diesel truck we have. Otherwise, we have a 2500 that we've used. We did purchase an F550, but that will eventually replace the other diesel. So we do not have large diesel trucks, dump trucks, or roll-off trucks, which again traveled there on a daily basis throughout the year. In fact, from I would say late October, early November, depending on weather, to mid-spring, we virtually have no traffic because it would just be employee traffic. And it's very reduced at that, maybe 1 or 2 employees kind of coming and going. Regarding vehicle size, so people can kind of put all this in context, a full, smaller garbage truck can weigh 50,000 pounds. A larger garbage truck can weigh 65,000 pounds. And of course, those are full. From the research that I did, a standard tandem axle roll-off truck, which is standard equipment, no box, no anything else on it, is probably anywhere from 14 to 16,500 pounds. The boxes themselves, a 20-yard box is 5,000 to 6,000 pounds. A 30-yard box is 8,000 to 10,000 pounds. That's when they're full. But the boxes themselves will weigh about 5,000 to 6,000 pounds. So this ranges from 25,000 pounds to 35,000 pounds. So these are standard vehicles on those roads on a daily basis. We have one larger boat. That's it. They've been a customer since day one. That probably would come up to close to the $20,000 pound limit. That's it. So the majority of the boats that we handle are around 7,000 pounds. Maybe half a dozen might be in the 12 to 15, somewhere in that ballpark. But to make that relevant, a 7,000 pound boat on a trailer is the same as a Chevy 2500, a GMC 2500, an F250. So suggesting that our operations cause greater damage than the routine use of the road by the garbage trucks, dump trailers, or roll-offs. It's just factually inaccurate and unsupported by any evidence. So additionally, we also comply with spring and fall road restrictions, including specific rules such as holiday weekends afternoon, you can't haul oversized loads, which we really don't have, but we don't even like to do it ourselves, even with a regular one. We're just not interested in dealing with the traffic. So I feel that this really shows a reduced impact on the roadway infrastructure compared to the garbage company. Another item at the Planning Commission meeting that was determined was the noise in question was brought to our attention was our Bobcat when it backed up, the beeping that is there for safety and insurance purposes. So while I struggle to understand how you can distinctly hear that noise when you're over 2 football fields away across a swamp, that's fine. We still address the issue. My husband contacted Mr. Wiley and told him we've muffled it. We're still compliant with our insurance and everything else we need to do. If you continue to hear the noise or it's an issue, please reach out to us. Since that conversation, we've had zero contact, or say zero communication from him. Another noise concern that was raised after the PC meeting was the pressure washer. I want to clarify this is an electric
Ms.
pressure washer.
Gillespie, we don't have half an hour here, please.
I get
Bear
it.
with us.
It's super important, and there's correct information.
There may have been, but it would have been good had you sent this to us prior to tonight.
I was advised to present it tonight.
I understand. Can you, how much longer are you going to go and what else do you need to go over?
I am not that much longer. So I can skip that electric pressure washer. I was just going to tell you where that really sits with noise level and why it's not a concern. You have our hours of operation, so I will skip over that. But the considerable amount of cleanup we've done, just to keep this in perspective, we all want the same thing, that we have removed diesel tanks, another gas tank, multiple tires have been recycled, scrap metal has been recycled. A boat is a sealed unit, presenting no risk of leaking or environmental contamination, and by very nature, boats have to be watertight and secure to be permitted on the lakes. So any concern in contrary to that would just disregard the fundamental requirement for their functionality. Fluids came up, all of our fluids, if anything is drained out of a boat, is taken off-site. Nothing is stored on-site. We take it to our other shop and use it for fuel oil. In regards to the screening, we took down a lot of junk trees. We had every intention of not doing that. We had to do that. We've already started the process of transplanting 3 trees, which was not advised. So we've transplanted 3 probably 20 to 30 foot tall pine trees for more screening. We started doing a berm on the west portion. And I'm going to give you guys very relevant photos I want to show you to go over as people are discussing them. And I won't take your time explaining all of them. I will. They are what they look like when the Repoviacs are there.
Thank you.
Okay, I got 5. Perfect. And thank you. You can see, contrary to staff's report, the areas remain the same and the use has not gotten better. So we do want to screen. We want to continue screening. We want to work with the people around us to get that done. Mr. Wiley said he would give us a call in 3 weeks when all the leaves were down to come and see what he's seeing so we can figure out how we can do this. We have not heard from him. In there, you will see photos, and I wrote on the back of some of them where the view is and whose property we're looking at so you can see what we're talking about. Sorry, I know you don't have an overhead, otherwise I would have put them on there for you. So that's just jumping over some of that. And one of the big properties in question, why we have 1,300 feet of abutting property line, 180 feet of it is potentially what they see for boats because we marked it off. So the other quick things is I want to note is both properties with the homes closest to us. One wrote a letter in support. The other one knew before he was selling the business or the property what was going on. Neither one of them have a concern with what we are doing. I'd also like to note that Mike Ettinger was well aware of what was going to be going on this property prior to the sale. He was over at the Bokoviaks with us
It-
in conversation.
You're right. That's
And,
not
well, I know, but I
generic.
need to address a correction on that because he's also asked us to work on his vote. So we've addressed all of that. One of the things to limit, like I said, we don't want to get bigger. We have no issue with that. And if for whatever reason it was a turn of events, we'd look for a different location. We're not interested in being bigger than what you see currently in those photos. So I would also like to make note of record, we got 2 verbal words of support today from the Davises and the Nickums, both on Game Farm Rome. One is in New York City and one is at a hockey game. They could not be here, but gave us permission to tell you that they are in full support of this interim use permit. So well, I'm not going to repeat some of the other stuff that maybe Bob has touched on, what we've done for the community. This is our livelihood. This is how we pay for our bills. This is how we afford to send our kids to Our Lady of the Lake. Like, this is our heartbeat of the dedication we have to this community. We don't take this lightly. Is it unfortunate it came about in this route? Yes. Nobody wanted it. I don't want to spend money on attorneys, and I know the city doesn't. So I really hope the city understands what this means to us. Like, we lose this, we lose our livelihood. This isn't a joke to us. We have every intention of working with the city, and since they've been in contact, the communication has not been an issue. So we're going to respectfully ask the council to extend us the same consideration, respect, and opportunity for the collaboration that has been afforded to other businesses within the agricultural zone, and want you to know that we are committed to working together with the council to address these concerns, just as it has been done with other similar businesses. So I cut that real short. If you have any questions about which photos are which, I can answer them super quick for you. And
Council, any questions? We can always come back to you too.
okay.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else over here that wishes to make a comment? I think this lady please come forward. And then you're next. Okay.
Hi, my name's Carrie Fordyce, and I'm one of those people that wrote a letter and didn't put my address on it. So I am an employee of Tonka Ottawa Marine, and I've been an employee of Tonka Ottawa Marine since April 2017. My son now is a valued member of this business, and Tonka Ottawa Marine has been an essential part of our lives. And it would be devastating for our family if the business were forced to close due to the misinformation surrounding it. As a single mother of 3, I'm just basically reading my letter that I wrote just so everybody could hear it. So as a single mother of 3, I rely heavily on the flexibility that Tonka Ottawa Marine has provided, allowing me to balance my work and family responsibilities. Over the years, the company has not only provided a steady income, but also the rare opportunity to bring my children to work when needed. This flexibility has been crucial in supporting my family, and I'm incredibly grateful for the understanding and support the company has shown. Tonka is a small business, and its impact on my family cannot be overstated. The support and flexibility extended to us by Tonka has enabled me to continue providing for my children and to maintain a sense of stability. If the company were to shut down, it would have a catastrophic effect on our livelihoods and my family's well-being. I respectfully ask that any claims or concerns regarding the company be carefully considered and based on accurate information. For us, Tonka Ottawa Marine is far more than just a place of employment, it's a lifeline. Its closure would have far-reaching consequences, not only for my family, but for others who depend on the company as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Gentleman in the back.
Hi guys. My name is Brian Johnson, and I'm actually an abutting property owner. I have property at 6690 Game Farm Road and 6570 Game Farm Road. Mm-hmm. And I've been believe it or not, a resident of Mound and Minnetrista since 1980. So I guess that's like 44 years, hard to believe. On the lake and in the farm country of Minnetrista, where we are. We're just beyond Hilltop School. The first gentleman that spoke, that's a hard act to follow, and Colin as well. But I wholeheartedly agree with both of them. What they're saying is absolutely, it's right on. It's so true. It seems to me we have a huge woods. We bought 10 acres from Steve Martin, the original ostrich farm, famous. And Jurdy's bought the other 10, and Rick Bakoyak bought the top 20, the north 20. And that's the property that was recently sold for the boat operation. And I can honestly say I didn't even know they were there. It's like there is nothing generated. There's no noise. There's no nothing. There's no traffic. And while you can think all these things are terrible and be worried about what damage it could possibly do to the swampland or whatever, these are boats. Half of the people in this room, if not more, have a boat sitting on a trailer in their yard, somewhere. This is what we all do. This is why we live here. And boats is part of the neighborhood. And basically, they're doing a great job. When it was Blakoyaks, who are our garbage people and your garbage people, but we all know that running a garbage business is not the cleanest operation in the world. You don't brag about it. These people have gone in, Kelly and Steve, and I've heard that they've been cleaning up. They spent all the time since they got there cleaning up the property, improving the property. And from a planning point of view, it seems like rather than, I don't see how you could possibly want to cut this off, but you could give them a direction, say, in maintaining the continuation of the temporary permit or of the whatever. Give us a plan of how you're going to modify the property further. Just tell it, what can you do to put up buffers and whatever? Because from my property, I guess it would be like 1,500, 1,000 feet or something to their property. I can't even see it. There's nothing out there but trees and woods, and it's so heavily forested that you can't even, when I go there, the deer all look at me and ask why I'm back there, because I think through our property is the only way you can get to that property. You can't really even get there from the Sunnyfield side. Obviously, you can come in to the old operation from that side, but there's so much land and trees. It's like, I think you could make an accommodation. And if you needed them to come up with a plan to do arborvitae and buffering on the backside where it's more open or whatever, I'm sure they would be able to do that. It's not going to happen overnight, but they can have kind of a longer term plan to take care of that. So I'm obviously in favor of maintaining their permit and operation.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else over here? Otherwise, I'm going to move over here. Thank you.
That's for last.
No, you're probably not last.
Not a history in this room. Gary? I'm the Mason that lives on Sunnyfield North and East that I always call you about. Nice to meet you in person. I live at 6605 Sunnyfield Road, which is adjacent to the property in question. We've lived out there, sorry, Bob, 37 years.
I beat all of you. I beat you. 39 years.
Oh, yeah.
Almost 40.
But anyway, we love it out there. And I just want to say, people talk about the environment. Well, Bakoviak's property was contaminated. Kelly and Steve has cleaned up the property. The buckthorn is thick through that place. And it's, if you want to use it, you got to, clear out that buckthorn. But anyway, what I want to say about traffic, have you ever sat there? I told the police officer to sit in my driveway and watch the kids. The kids and the school buses use that road consistently more than I've ever seen Kelly and her company use. Bukoviaks were up and down. Yes, I found a lot of nails in my tire, and that happens, and road restrictions. But as far as I'm concerned, Kelly and Steve have been real respectful. They've asked Mark and I about what can we do, and let us know if anything is happening or whatever. And they've been very polite. And all I see out there is the shop from next door. I lived out there for so long that it's just part of the scenery. You get to still see the deer and coyotes and everything else. And for the environment, like I say, boats you have to drain and clean them all up. That I don't know what the concern. Now, my mortgage company at one time said we had to get flood zone insurance. It'd have to rain 40 days, 40 nights before that water would even come up because it's right in the corner. And yes, Kelly pointed out, the street is misaligned. Years ago when Mr. Johnson, your property owned by Steve Martin, where did you leave? Well, we have that half acre that he sued us for to get an easement to your property. And the council at that time said, oh, he wanted ostriches. And the council said at that time, well, why do you think we named it Game Farm Road? You can have the ostriches on there. And I'm like, really? And there was concern because of the danger they could provide if they got out to the school, which is Hilltop down the road.
Well, let's get back to.
Anyway, I'm just saying there's a lot of history here, but I'm just saying.
Great information, nice to know. I can probably give you a whole lot more history than you can, but I'm not going to do that tonight.
Anyway, I'm for Kelly and Steve because, like you said, they're respective and they are very concerned about the environment and safety of everybody.
All right. Anybody else? This gentleman first, and then you.
Ken Fordyce, I'm Carrie's dad. I live at 6371 Bartlett Boulevard in Mound. And I just want to attest, Carrie is a single parent. The character and integrity and the business sense of serving the community that Steve and Kelly bring flows through to serving their employees. It's a big deal. Carrie was working in the corporate world, and you don't have the flexibility when the kid's sick or the big corporate politics. Some kind of Weston's not feeling good. I got to pick him up from school. She can. It's not a big deal. And doctor's appointments and all that, having that flexibility is huge. Also, too, it's been encouraging her to grow. This past year, Carrie studied and passed her real estate license, thanks to Kelly. Kelly has been mentoring her. So not only serve the community big time, they serve their employees, and they're a tremendous asset to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
My name is Greg Becker. I live at 5760 Sunnybrook Lane. I'm about a half mile from the site. Known Steve and Kelly for 5 or 6 years now. And my boat is on that site. And I only wanted to make a few comments. I moved here about 14 years ago from South Minneapolis. Used to live in Linden Hills. Like a lot of people, the reason I live here is the quality of life. The reason I live here is boating. The first boat that I bought was from Remax in Rogers. It's a publicly traded company. It's about an hour drive when I would have to get it serviced. There's a local shop that's now a mile from my house. The owner's phone number is in my phone. When I've got a problem, I can call them. And it is just a fantastic way to keep my money and the quality of life local. The other piece is I'm sitting here. I didn't know much about this meeting before yesterday, but I biked on that road, have for years. I'm confused. When I used to walk and bike by a garbage dump you could smell from a half mile away, how that in some possible world is better or equivalent to what is there now. It looks dramatically different in the year they've owned it from cleaning it up. And so I'm honestly just confused, not seeing what you guys see, and the idea to shut a business down and force me to take my business someplace else is it's heartbreaking. So
thank you. All right, next up. Oh, hold on. Wait, we got 2 people coming. All right.
I'll make it quick. I'm just another one of these 35-year pests. I live at 6475 Sunnyfield Road, which is literally a 9-iron and a putt from the property. I'm not even a golfer. I could probably make it with a sand wedge. But I thought once Bakowiak's moved out of there, it was going to get some peace. You know, you don't have to listen to the beep beep garbage trucks backing up. I think it might have just been last night or it was the night before. You hear a boat fired up at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and You know, I got a pond in my backyard. I shut it off a few weeks ago because it's winter, and all of a sudden now you still hear boats and, you know, going into the winter, and it's been like that in the spring. And I don't have a problem with the boats going up and down the road. Doesn't seem to be a problem. But the eyesore, if you're coming down Sunnyfield North from the north end, you look down that hill and you see that sea of boats down there. It's an eyesore. When I bought my property back in '88, I was told that I was living in the 2020 plan, which means 4 years ago, they were going to consider multiple, you know, high dense housing in that area. And now you got this business in there that's over 20 acres. I'm not sure how much land it's on, but it's a residential area, and I knew the Black Kobiaks were grandfathered in, but I don't know if you can pass that grandfather to another business or not. I don't know what the rules are there, but it's an eyesore and an earsore, and I'd ask any one of you people in the council if you'd like to see that within a stone's throw of your property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Jim Samuelson. I live at 1105 Sunnyfield Road, and I've already sent letters, so I don't want you to tell my perspective. But when I looked at the materials, I think there's 2 emails you didn't get. One from Dan Butter at 1025. His picture window went from viewing a very nice set of woods to now a line of boats, and he's not in favor of an interim use. You should have that email, or it was sent to Nick Olson a couple of days ago. Another one came from John Stein from 1015 Sunnyfield Road. He's got a bad cold, so he sent me the email that he sent to Nick.
If he sent it in, we have it.
You do have it?
Well,
he sent it about a half.
We have Dan Butter. We have his email.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep. And then Cass, let me see.
Don didn't send it until about just before 7 o'clock because he's got a bad
this evening.
Oh, yeah, then we don't have
Oh, then we don't have it.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, but it's in your email. I can read it to you. John Stein, 1015 Sunnyfield Road. My concerns are lack of getting permits prior to opening, using both properties for storage and auto business. Only one property had a business. That was the one, Blakovic was only on one.
Right.
What chemicals are being used and storage for washing boats, etc.? What precautions are being taken if stored? What about auto leaks? Groundwater concerns with removal of trees and adding fill. The view has changed.
Okay.
That was John's comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Pete Wiley, 1250 Game Farm Circle. I've spoken at the Planning Commission meeting in the last meeting.
Right.
This time, I mean, the letters do such a good job of providing the perspective of why people like me are opposed to this permit going through. So I just wanted to end with one high-level comment. The reason that we moved out here, we lived in Minnetonka for 5 years. It took us 5 years to find a place that we wanted to live. We came here because this is like the most beautiful place we've ever seen. I mean, the whole area that we live in is like a park. I mean, thinking about the kids who read their, you know, if I could be mayor, it's the beauty of Minnetrista. And, you know, when we moved here, I thought the place looks like a park. And, you know, for the people that are in favor of it, that don't see anything, well, great for you. But for me and the other 8 people who are against it, our views have been eviscerated. And to go from, you know, 360-degree panorama to seeing, you know, this huge mass of shrink wrack boats on your property, it's a disaster. And I'm asking you guys to help us protect Minnetrista, to keep it the beautiful place that it is, because this boat operation is it's an eyesore and it's ruining our beautiful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Can you make it quick? Sorry.
My name is Tyler Emery, and I live on Painter Road, and I am good friends with Steve and Kelly. And I've lived in Minnetrista my whole entire life, well, Mound Minnetrista. I'm an avid outdoorsman, so Steve and Kelly have invited me to hunt on their property, which is obviously something we can do when we're bow hunting. And I would just like to say that when I'm out there in my deer stand in between the Wiley property and the Cohen property, I can't see much of the boats from the wood line, and I'm right on the edge of the swamp. So as far as that goes, I don't understand what the concern is there. Maybe they see a little bit more than I do, but my big concern would be everybody moves out in the country because they want a peace and quiet and a piece of property. Well, all I hear is people's dogs barking constantly. I mean, I've heard it on all the surrounding properties for hours on end. And if that isn't annoying, I don't know what would be.
I
But
think we agree that that's annoying.
it's very annoying. I have a neighbor to my north that has a dog that barks all the time.
You need to contact the police.
People have, and nothing gets done about it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, it's not just one property, it's multiple properties. I have dogs. I have neighbors that have dogs. Be respectful of your neighbors and shut your dog up. But I don't hear that out there. There's a lot of barking.
I think we agree, Mr. Emery, but that's not the issue here.
Anyways,
sorry.
What I want to say is, I think that Steve and Kelly have taken every measure to be respectful of the property, the land, the people surrounding it. They're trying to run a business. We move to places and we do the best we can so that we can have a livelihood.
Sure. Okay.
And you know what? When it's private property, sometimes people got to deal with it. If you don't want to look at stuff, move to South Dakota. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. One last time, anybody else wishing to speak or have a comment or questions? Anybody else? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Paul Selway. I live at 6385 Sunnyfield Road East. I was one of the people that sent a letter in with my wife. We moved from London.
We can tell.
To come here. And we love our home. We love our neighbours. And just to see what's going on there is heartbreaking for me. And I personally, I'm also concerned. I'm near retirement. I run a small business. And I'm also concerned that my property price is going to be impacted by this. And at some point, I'm going to have to sell it and move into the old folks' home. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
I'm against, by the way.
You're what?
I'm against it.
Well, that's hard to believe. Okay. Having anybody else have any comments or questions? All right. So I'm going to close the public comment period right now. So you're going to have to bear with us because we're going to have some discussion here, and I'm not going to ask for input from the public. So please be respectful to that. I'm going to start out by a couple of things. We had a lot of emails, and they talked about Kelly and Steve's integrity. And I know Mr. Colin, you also referred to their integrity and their character. If we were to appoint or agree or give our consent to an IUP or a CUD, it doesn't matter if the person has their character or are great and wonderful people, because we have an ordinance. We have an ordinance, and it says what factors and what categories we need to base our decision on. And we, as elected officials, have taken an oath to uphold not just the state of Minnesota, but also the ordinances and laws in Minnetrista. And the ordinances and our ordinance does not say that we can take or should take somebody's character into consideration. As much as you would like to, and we would like to do that, we would say, oh, these are upstanding citizens. That's not a category that we can use to approve or deny. If we like them or don't like them, that is not something we can use to approve or deny this application. The other thing I've heard tonight too is they service our community. Maybe they do, but what I've heard is they service our community by donating and being great people. That's wonderful. And I don't think we're questioning that. And we would encourage them to continue to do that. But that also is not a category or on which we need to base or on which we should base our decision on. What we need to do is we need to look at the facts. We need to look at the noise, the glare, the odor, the zoning, the character of the neighborhood, the how does this impact adjoining property owners? How does it impact the community as a whole? Those are the things that we have to consider. We cannot consider whether we like the Kellys or not, whether they allow us to go hunting on their property or not. As much as that, as nice as that is, those are not the categories on which we have to base our decision. The other thing I want to say is I've lived here almost 40 years, so I beat all of you except for Mr. Johnson. So, having said that, oh, you've been here longer. Okay, almost. It doesn't matter how long we've lived here. It really doesn't matter how long we've lived here. We all know why we came here. And we came here for various reasons. Maybe because you're close to the lake. Maybe because you like to be out in the country. Maybe you wanted a larger parcel. Maybe it's a beautiful parcel. It's a beautiful city, and yes, it is. For whatever reason you moved out here, it's irrelevant to it's not generic to this discussion. Your reasons for moving here have to be pertinent to the reasons that we have to take into consideration for this application. One of the things I did this afternoon is I thought, okay, if they're only going to be doing storage, how much is that going to generate for their business? Probably not that much. They're talking about 100 boats being stored here. First of all, that's a lot of boats. And if you look right now at the aerial photos right now, there's only about 40 or 60 boats there right now. Now think about nearly doubling that. That's a concern that we as a council have to address, and we have to look at that. Are they a good business for the community or for the larger community? Yes. Do they have to do it here in this location? Do they have to? That's the question. But the other thing is, the Forsyth said, if they are not allowed to store these boats on this property, that now they will be forced to close their business. That's hard to believe. When you do the numbers and you run the numbers, how much do you generate from 100 boats of storage? Ms. Gillespie, if you care to answer that question? Thank you. Yeah. So these are the things that we have to look at. Is it zone? Now, I just want to make one other comment because I think there's some misconception that there's a lot of CUPs or IUPs on Sunnyfield, on West Branch. I don't think there's as many as what was provided here tonight. What was said here tonight. So we don't just willy-nilly hand out IUPs or CUPs for properties. And I'm not aware of in the last 10 years that we have done more than one on Sunnyfield. Can you think of? So, in every application is different. And there's different considerations to make. No two applications are alike. There's different circumstances, there's different areas, there's different properties, things are different. There's no two applications that are alike. So even if the council had awarded a CUP or an IUP to one property, that doesn't say that we have to do it for every other application. We have to look at each application in and of itself, and we have to rule on the merits of that application based on our ordinances. So having said that, we need to look at zoning, we need to look at character of the neighborhood. How does this affect neighboring properties? How will this even affect the city itself? How are we going to to monitor this? How are we going to pay for monitoring? How are we going to address the road issues should they become one? The Black Koyaks were there for over 60 years. Gotta realize, Minnetrista wasn't even a city 60 years ago. We became a statutory A city back in the early 70s. 60 years puts you back in the 50s. Okay, early 60s. So they weren't even a statutory A city. There were no regulations. There were no ordinances at the time. And that's why they were grandfathered in, because they had started their business prior to these ordinances and rules going into account. What we've done over the years, over the past 24 years that I've sat here, we have tried to fix, if you will, things that are out of compliance. So if a home comes for a permit and it's out of compliance, we have to look at it. If there's any way we can bring it into compliance, we do so. Because the last thing we want is to kind of repeat ourselves and continue the repetitiveness of something that's out of compliance. If we can bring it into compliance, we do that. But that's not the number one reason or for or against this application. I'll have council weigh in and ask your questions and make your comments. Thank you.
Well, this does concern me. I think that, as you say, Koyak, doesn't mean that we should continue to serve or have that property be used in a way that is not in keeping with the rest of the area. And I think that the fact that they don't live on the property, these properties, as I understand the agricultural area, you have to live on the property and then have your business there too. So that concerns me as well.
Anything else?
I heard, first of all, I've lived here for 60 years and I've heard Kelly Gillespie's name many, many times in this community as far as being an incredibly influential, generous, and wonderful person. And I believe that to be true. She has a lot of support here and she's been a wonderful person in the community. I've heard many of you speak out and say, can we work together? And, have we taken every measure? And what I think you are unaware of is the extreme measures this council has taken and the city has taken to communicate with Ms. Gillespie on these matters. We sent letters to, I think, 5 different addresses. We sent certified letters. I believe, I don't know if it was Mr. Abel or someone from the city actually drove out to the property to try to communicate. And these communications fell on deaf ears. It's been over a year. So we're not trying to work together. We tried. I think we used extraordinary measures to try to communicate. And again, the city has complained. You talk about the Blakowiaks. No one complained about the Blakowiaks. Had people complained, I think the city would have done something. But people weren't. Maybe they wanted to, like the gentleman with the barking dogs. If you don't complain, nothing gets done. But we've had many complaints. And again, there's a difference between the wonderful things that they do with their business and now going out in your backyard and looking at plastic covered boats. If all of you are looking at that same thing, you might feel differently. We have to listen to our constituents that are being affected directly. And so the paperwork wasn't done. The permits were not issued. They weren't even, I believe, applied for in a timely manner. So although it's a terrible thing to say this is now where you have to pay the piper. If you didn't go through the proper channels to start your business, it's unfortunate if it doesn't, if there's longtime residents that are affected by it and don't appreciate it. So I just want you to know we've worked very hard at trying to listen and be compassionate.
My question is for Kelly. Why did you pick this property instead of the ones that are already zoned commercial?
There is no, first of all, it's property.
Ms. Gillespie, I'm sorry. It's being recorded, so we need you to come to the microphone.
Totally fine. This property actually kind of fell into our lap. It was not something we were out searching for. Through some other transactions, we ended up meeting with them. The gentleman that introduced us, it wasn't going to fit for him, so we took a look at it. From my experience and my knowledge, you have a property that's been operating as commercial with outdoor storage and mechanical. I was like, this would be a good fit for what we do, right? Not only does it allow us, my husband, not to spend crazy amounts of time on the road and actually see his children, we can be closer to the people that we connect with in that regard. So it wasn't something that, it was something that would own, you need a certain size, you need certain things if you're going to continue to do this business. And it all just fell right into place. So from our purview, it was, if you look at the photos, I sent the aerial photos, and I think it went from 2018 up to 2022. Maybe a few more dead trees that we cleared out to get some more of the garbage out, but really the size and the use is exactly the same from that aspect. I would like to make a note, the minute I actually got something from, I actually saw a letter that involved the city. I got it in an email from my banker, and I stated as the minute I got that, that's the first time I ever saw a paper. I immediately, because I didn't understand exactly what it was saying, I sent it to our attorney and said, hey, take a look at this. Prior to, we don't live at the properties. I have renters that live there. One of them who we've evicted. So we told, like, if mail went to here, we never got it. I don't know if they sent it to the PO box. I don't have access to it. My office manager does. We're gone a good chunk of the year. I travel a lot for work. I said, I didn't get it the minute I got it, regardless how, and we may disagree on it, and you may not like it, but that's the facts. As soon as I got it, I did that. Do I ever wanted it to get this far? Absolutely not. I don't want to deal with this either at this point.
Why, when you bought the property, why didn't you apply for an IUP then? I mean, you were in Mountain City Council, correct? So you're aware of.
My experience and my knowledge tells me I am within the purview to continue a same and similar use of outdoor storage.
It wasn't.
But a boat and a garbage disposal company are not same and similar.
You're both storing units outdoors. Ours happen to be cleaner, not as large lengthwise, but so that is the same and similar use. And I've spoken with some counsel on it and stuff like that, and after the fact, but and they told me I'm within my purview. So to me, if I knew it and known this was as big of a deal as this, it would have never gotten to this point. But from what I've been through and what we were taught from our attorney at the other city, it shouldn't have been an issue. I apologize, it is. I don't want it to be. Hindsight 2020. You can't go back and go back and change it if I could, but I can't. So that's where I am, and that's from my experience, which is obviously going to probably be different than maybe somebody else's. But like I said, when dealing with similar stuff with our city, that's what we're always told.
Okay. All right. Any comments? No. Questions? No. Okay. So if the council is wanting to make a motion or to make a decision on this, then may I ask, are you in favor of approving or in favor of denying? Because if you're in favor of denying, then we need to go through and we need to have findings of fact. And so, like I said before, So that's kind of my question, because one, it doesn't mean, if we go findings of fact, this isn't made up. This is, it's in an agricultural zoning district. In order to be approved for this type of use, it has to come to the city council because it doesn't meet. So when you have so for everybody out here, when you have a zoning district, and there's different ones in our city, and there's certain uses that are allowed in different zoning districts. So in the agricultural zoning district, I'll give you an example, a farm winery is allowed. Okay, it's allowed. It's allowed with a conditional use permit. Okay, don't want to bring that up because we just went through this, but that's an allowed use in an agricultural zoning district. If you wanted to do a horse boarding facility, that would be allowed in the agricultural zoning district. What's not allowed is this type of enterprise or a garbage enterprise, which, just a second, I'm not asking for your input at this time.
No, I had a question, so I'm just taking note.
So what's not allowed is a garbage collection company, which they were there, so they were allowed to continue as long as they were continuing as a garbage collection company, okay? What's not allowed is to now change it from a garbage collection company to a boat storage company. That's not allowed in this zoning. It is allowed with the CUP or an IUP. And staff is saying but that's at council's discretion. In addition to that, the council needs to look at the criteria to see if we feel it meets the criteria set forth in our ordinances. And that's what I'm asking the council to do. We need to look at our ordinance. We need to look at the criteria on which we would base our decision for or against this type of use in this zoning district. Questions? So if you look at this, and staff has kind of laid it out, I think quite clearly, that when you look at consistency to the comprehensive plan, it's not consistent with the comprehensive plan. You look at the zoning, it's not consistent with the zoning. You look at the noise, glare, odor, electrical, and we can all argue that this might be better than Black Hoyak's. But that's not the issue in front of us. The issue in front of us is if this IUP application meets our current requirements. Forget about Black Hoyak's. Forget about how it impacted or didn't impact the neighbors, or that's not the issue. That's not the question that we're addressing tonight. We are addressing whether or not this application fits this zoning and this property. That's what we're addressing. Am I right? I mean, okay. So with that, questions, comments, because I don't know that we could or should approve this. And I think it's very well said. How do you feel if this was your neighbor? I know a lot of you say, well, I live a mile down the road, or I live half a mile down the road, and I'm okay with it. But how would you feel if you bought property and you knew that once Black Hoyak's ceased to exist, or they ceased to exist quite a few number of years ago, and all of a sudden now you're going, phew, this is great. Now we don't have to deal with the garbage disposal company anymore, but now all of a sudden they have this to deal with. I understand that, because yes, we all move out here for something or other. We move out here for peace and quiet. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen with dogs. We move out here for space and for beauty and for views. So with that, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I think the facts have been laid out in staff's report.
I vote for the resolution as written denying the application.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go that way too, because I don't understand, since you were a city council person and you're a businesswoman, and you let all this time go and never even contacted the city. And I know you've said this thing about the address, but why didn't you come to the city in the first place?
Well, that's neither here nor there at
Well,
this
yeah,
point.
I tried to
Yeah.
address that, and then with legal counsel and what I was told, I addressed it correctly. So I think
Again, yeah.
at this point, and then, well, no, I'd like to hear what you guys say first before I make a statement. So.
I think we've.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm going to formally pull my request at this time, so that there is no IUP. And then pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13.03, I'm formally requesting access to all public data and relevant communications pertaining to the IUP for Tonkato Marine. This request includes, but is not limited to, emails, meeting notes, reports, correspondence, text messages, and any other records or documents to discuss or reference this matter. If any data is classified as non-public under the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act, I request that you provide the specific statutory basis for withholding such data, and a proper response is also requested as required under Minnesota Statute 13.03 subdivision 2. So obviously I'm pulling the request, so I understand that then there will be no vote, and I appreciate.
Well, we're going to have to check with our attorney first, okay?
Yep, totally fine. They can, he or she, I haven't met him, so I don't know, apologize.
Sure.
Sarah? Madam Mayor, members of the council.
I was told there's no Zoom.
Just a minute. Sarah, go ahead.
Mayor, members of the council, it sounds like the applicant is withdrawing her application, so the council should not be acting on it at this point. So I guess, you can just move on to your next agenda item. Sounds like she's also made a data request to the city. I think per the city's data practices policy, she should fill out a data request form that can be obtained through the city clerk and make that data request, and then the city can fulfill it.
Thank you. So, Ms. Gillespie, yeah, I will answer that question, and just, so you will have to fill out a form and do it in writing, your data request. And no, this is not open to the public no, let me explain something. This is the first, we just got this, and maybe I'll let Jasper kind of weigh in on this, but we don't even have a policy yet. Nothing is in writing yet, so we have no way of opening it up to the public.
I specifically emailed him and asked him that today. Clarification would have been, our attorney is out of town for a very solid personal reason. Had I known that was a possibility, this would have been a whole lot different. So I'm frustrated that all of a sudden your attorney's here on a Zoom meeting and you didn't give me that opportunity. I think that's a little biased.
I mean, I can address that. That wasn't the question that was asked. You said it was for somebody else. We don't offer it to the public right now.
I said someone and I didn't specify.
We're not going to argue about that. You can talk to your attorney about that. Sorry.
Excuse me, Kelly, the statement you read there, can you leave that with us? We need it in writing, your withdrawal, your official withdrawal.
I can't leave this piece of paper, and
so we'll need that in writing, officially in writing from you.
You guys have a form that you can send?
No, just you can send an email or anything handwritten that says you officially withdraw your application. We'll need that in writing.
So who does that get emailed to?
Myself, anyone at city staff here is fine. City clerk, myself, anybody is fine. Drop it off, however you want to get it to us, but we need it in writing.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, so we are going to move on then, since it has been, say, unofficially withdrawn. And move on with our next business item, and that is, I believe, budget. So we have budget approvals, and I'll kind of wait until you have time to clear out.
Brian's rethinking his running. He's rethinking being on council.
Okay. There's a lot of information too that we didn't share tonight, but there's no need to. I mean, all right. So we're moving on to budget approvals. We kind of looked that over earlier. Is there anything else you need to add to that?
Madam Mayor, Council, this would be the levy resolution is on page 288 for that 7,138,67. I guess that we talked about during the public comment for the so a motion for adopt the tax levy for 2024 collectible in 2025 by resolution as shown in the packet would be what I'd be looking for.
Okay, so adopting final 2024 tax levy in the amount of 7,130,000.
7,138,67.
Yeah.
That's on page 288. Yep.
All right. Any questions or comments or anything else? We've gone over it a few times. So is there a motion to adopt resolution number 110-24, and it's adopting our final 2024 tax levy in the amount of $7,130,867.
I think it's 2025.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2025.
Adopted now, but
Yes.
collection.
Right, we're adopting it now for 2025 collection. Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you. Ms. McGregor.
Yeah, we can do it all night. All right, fine.
Okay, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. And let me see.
Yep, the last.
And then we have one more item. I think it's adopt and approve the 2025 budgets, which is different than the levy. So budgets, it's the general fund, the special revenue, the debt service, the CIP funds, and the enterprise funds.
Yep.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 111-24 for 2025 budgets?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. McGregor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. Any further questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. Then we have staff reports.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm sure this will come up a couple times maybe, but we do have our tree lighting event coming up on Thursday, 5 o'clock till 7. Fireworks start at 7. Hopefully we can make it till then. It's supposed to be, I think, probably around 15 degrees.
Cold.
So
We're gonna have fire pits, right?
Gary will have the fire pits going.
Fire pits.
Okay.
So hopefully we see a lot of people there. We'll have food. We'll have fire pits, cash bar for beverages. So
Okay.
and
Santa.
Santa will be there.
Santa will be there. Okay.
Fire trucks, all that stuff. So I think
All right.
that there might have been something else.
Toys for Tots, food.
Did you say food?
Yeah, there will be food there.
Food for purchase and
Yep.
some freebies. but-
Cider, yeah.
Okay.
Apple cider, hot chocolate, and if you like cookies and brownies. For
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hope to see everybody there. I'll be there.
Council Park along Public Works,
Yes.
like we can thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's use the barricades.
Thank you.
Parking will be generally over at WRA, and there'll be a bus or 2 buses that go back and forth bringing people.
Yeah, please
Throw.
have council parking only. Signs.
Gary's gonna stand there and monitor who comes in.
Put the police over there. Okay.
But that's all I have.
Any other staff reports? Okay. And council reports.
I have a little one. The Gillespie Center's holiday boutique is currently going. They have hundreds of people that come every day. It goes through the 8th. And lots of individuals, young and old, have contributed to the holiday boutique and from the surrounding community. So I hope you all make it. It's I think it starts around 10 in the morning, goes until 4. It's quite lovely, very crowded, and very active and festive.
Peter, anything?
I do. Well, let's see, I have a couple slides. I want to show.
Be in there.
There we go. There's only about 40 of them.
Ann's last meeting to go.
So
The later ones.
this is a stabilization of this bank in the Kingswood Park. And so it's a Three Rivers Park district, but then our road, Minnetrista Road, gravel road goes through there. And you can see in the photo on the left, what was happening is that you're getting runoff from the road and the adjacent area. And then it was sliding down into this bog of tamaracks that you can see at the bottom picture here. And so it really threatened the grove of the tamarack, and it's one of the few ones in the metro area. So Three Rivers Park obviously wanted it protected, and of course we want it protected too. So that's the before pictures. And then the next slide shows what they did. Too bad Brian's not here, because that would take about 40 minutes to explain adequate. The idea was to, down on the lower left, put in a series of rocks to slow the silt that's coming down from the road, and then it goes across the road, and there's then an area where it catches all the sediment and water that's coming off, and then it slowly drains it down to the tamarack ponds after it's filtered it. So the next slide, you can see, so they drilled the horizontal drill through there. Pretty amazing stuff. And there are the rocks to slow the flow off the road. You can see it happened to be raining.
Check dams.
Check
dams.
I should know that.
What is it called? Check dam.
Check dam.
It's to slow the water.
Silt will build up on the side of the check dam, and then it can be dug out usually. And so then the final picture shows that's the area then it's been planted with native plants, and it'll catch all the rain and build up. And when the water gets to the top of those plastic tubes, then it runs down into that pipe and goes down to the bog. So it catches all the silt there, and once the plants grow, they say it'll be hard to even find those pipes.
Does the water get that high usually, frequently?
They think it will get that high, yeah. But I was amazed at how many jurisdictions and all were involved in this. It was, Claudia had to sit through a 4-hour meeting on this, and there were people from the county, from Three Rivers, of course, our people, and DNR, I think, was involved. I mean, it was just this array of people. It's amazing that it all came together. And it was,
Army Corps of Engineers, and I mean, I'm surprised they weren't there. Okay, yeah.
So very happy with that. That should really preserve that bog, and so it's definitely an environmental win. So very excited that it's done. Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, Council, this is the area that it was almost over a year ago, that was put into our stormwater CIP that you guys approved for $25,000 towards this. So, and then the other caveat with this is the check dams they put in on the basically the east side there, and then there's that holding pond before it goes to this area. We made arrangements with them that we will be cleaning that out as needed to help them out with the maintenance.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. And anything?
Nothing.
No last report. Okay.
I attended the St. Bonnie fire meeting on November 21st. I will keep it short. The good news is their retirement relief fund is funded at about 120%, so around 1.6 million. They received about $14,000 in donations and used $6,000 of it for the exhaust fans on the new engine, and they're using $8,000 of it for what the chief is calling duty boots. So then they won't have to use their fireman's boots for their duty calls and keep their fireman's boots in their pants, which saves them time when they're going to calls. I asked how long it was going to take to get the boots, and he said it's fairly quickly, 2 to 3 weeks. So they should have those. Total budget for 2024 was 421, and as of the
2025.
No, the 2024
okay.
budget. As
Okay.
of the meeting, they were $98,000 under budget, but 70,000 of that is for payroll that gets paid at the end of November. So there won't be a huge overlap there. Calls for 2024 are 180 year to date, with their year ending as of November 30th. Minnetrista had 112 calls as of then, so right around 72%.
Yeah.
They started using a new program called Lexipol. It's an online tool that has 148 manuals. So they're rolling that out to the firefighters starting in January. They're going to do 10, is it 10 a month? 10 at a time. Yeah, I think it's per month. And they're doing it with Mound, so they'll be on the same system of training and manuals and everything. But that just seemed like a very large number of manuals to go through. So
yeah. That is.
Yeah, they got their new fire gear, wildland fire gear. They are using that like their second set. So they just use that for certain fires, and then they have their good set for the other fires and other calls, which works out well because Mound has 2 sets, but they have 2 of kind of the same sets. These ones are a little bit different, a little easier to use, a little more flexible for what they respond to more often. They have 3 new firemen. They have completed firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and they're currently completing their hazardous material training. They will have 4 starting in 2025, but they are losing 3. So
they're getting 1.
Yeah, so they're gaining 1.
Hey, more than our police department.
Yes.
I mean, you know.
The budget increase was as predicted at the 11.24%. Most of that goes towards using the Lexa pool. The chief pay increase, firefighter pay increase, and then for fire prevention events, they're budgeting money for all the stuff that they give to people, so that it doesn't come out of so there's a line item for it basically now. And then adding 10% to the capital outlay just for increase in the cost of everything. And the new truck is fully in service. It will be here Thursday. It has I can't think of the word. They can't put magnets on it, so they don't know how they're going to hang the decorations on it.
Oh.
I did ask because
No metal on it.
It's aluminum or whatever.
Yeah, it's all aluminum, so they can't stick anything on it. So
Plastic and.
it sounds like there's gonna be a lot of command hooks. I did ask because I've seen Plymouth fire trucks and they have the American flag on the front of the grill.
Yeah.
And Eric didn't put that in the budget for the new truck, but I did find out it would be $2,500.
Oh, geez.
So that's actually not that much when you consider the truck was $900,000. But it can be added after the fact, and I thought that was amazing and said he should ask for it because it looks really nice on the Plymouth fire trucks when they're like doing parades or anything, and it's awesome. I think it's very patriotic.
It's like a light.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Okay.
Just a little side note.
Okay.
Ask the chief anything. That was what I asked. Can we do it after the fact?
I don't have a lot to report. So at our last fire partnership meeting, we talked about, we have that coming up this week, next week. Is that a 7 a.m.? Yeah.
No, that's the 3:30.
Oh, thank goodness.
That's the
Okay, 3:30 meeting. At any rate, so they wanted us to pass a resolution approving us, the 3 of us, to continue partnership talks regarding a JPA. And we didn't get that resolution all typed up, but if you're amenable to that, what we can do is we can add that to consent agenda in January. So it's just a housekeeping item. And then if I can get kind of all of your approvals, kind of with head nodding tonight, we can go to the meeting next week and say, our council's on board. We want to continue partnership meetings and JPA, Joint Powers Agreement. So are you on board with that without this formal resolution, which will come back at our January meeting and you'll be able to vote on it? Are you in agreement? Okay. All right.
I know you can't.
For some reason, I knew Ann would be in agreement.
So agreeable. It's nice of you to give me one of those.
And then also tomorrow I have a meeting with public safety meeting with the chief and the current mayor. And then also later on, I'm actually going to be meeting the almost to be mayor. What is it called? Incoming mayor of St. Bonnie. Yeah, mayor-elect of St. Bonnie. So I'll be meeting him and kind of talking to him about the fire partnership and seeing where he stands on this and so on. And then next week I'll also be attending the Northwest League. So those are kind of it that I have. And then,
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
So we did close on Outlot D of the ponds at 5th edition, Hunter's Crest.
Okay.
Last week. So we now own a stormwater pond. That's all done. So congratulations. That was my last thing I added.
Okay.
So
all right.
That's it.
So with that, again, Ann, thank you for your time and
miss
talents and participation here. We really appreciate it.
Thank
We'll
you.
miss you. Sorry, Brian. You'll be fine too, but you know. All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You'll never have to do another one.
I'll
I think
never
I
have to
made
do
you do, this is the second most you've had to do, except for the time that it was just the 3 of us.
David,